We've looked at a lot of cold steel tomahawks here on the channel, but in today's Sharp Saturday video, we're going to take a look at a cold steel axe, specifically the cold steel Trail Boss axe. That's what's coming up next here on Survival on Purpose. Welcome back to Survival on Purpose. My name's Brian. Thanks for joining me for another Sharp Saturday video where it's Saturday and we take a look at something sharp. And as I said, today that something sharp is this cold steel Trail Boss axe, complete with the very annoyingly sticky sticker that they put on their handles. We're gonna take a closer look at this thing, talk about the specs, get to doing some of that axe stuff right after this word from today's video sponsor. Today's video is sponsored by Hog Holsters. Hog Holsters are made in the USA in Arizona, and they are without a doubt the most comfortable concealable holster I've ever tested. You can save 10% on your order at Hog Holsters by using the coupon code Survival on Purpose, all one word. That's hogholsters.com. Thanks to Hog Holsters for sponsoring today's video. Okay, let's talk about this cold steel Trail Boss axe now. As you can see, as all the cold steel axes and tomahawks, this thing comes with a sticker on it that says American Tomahawk Company, established in 1992. Not really sure what that means because this thing is on the other side marked cold steel Taiwan, and then the very annoyingly sticky handle sticker that has the UPC code on it and the model number 990TA clearly says made in Taiwan. So this axe is not made in the Republic of China, mainland China. This is made in the, what I like to call the country of Taiwan. Somebody always tries to correct me on that, but anyway, I'm rambling a little bit, so I'll try to stop. So let's talk about the specs of this thing. It features a head weight of 1 pound, 13 ounces, and an overall total weight of 2 pounds, 9.5 ounces. They're calling this the head style European, has a 4.5 inch cutting surface, and it's made of 1055 carbon steel. The handle length is 27 inches of American hickory, so it gives an overall length of 27 inches. If you can see right here, there are 2 circular wedges in the axe head, and I don't think this is hardened. It doesn't say if it's a hammer hardened. If it's a hardened pommel that you can use for a hammer, let's try that. But the edges are kind of rounded off here, as is really everything. There doesn't seem to be really any sharpness on here except for the axe itself. It says the straight grained American hickory, and if you look at the grain here, hopefully we can get a close up of that. It's kind of a diagonal grain, but altogether it looks pretty straight as you're looking at the handle itself. It's got a standard, this axe thing here. I don't know what you call that. I'm not an axe expert, but it's got a normal axe handle. How about that? It's 27 inches, so it's a little longer than like my Wetterling's Hunter's axe, 3 inches longer. So this has got enough length to it, I think, to do some actual chopping and some camp stuff, but you can still choke up on it, I think. Well, we'll see. How about that? And finally, the MSRP on this axe is $50, and Amazon price and pretty much the street price is about $40. So not a bad price for a functional axe if it actually functions. Why don't we see about that and get to doing some of that axe stuff? You want to? Okay, so before we get to some of the hardcore axe stuff, one of the tests we like to do on all blades is to check the sharpness using the pretty much internationally standard sharpness test, the redneck sharp test. It is an axe, not a knife, but I think we need to be consistent, right? Okay, testing medium. You'll go downstream. I tell you, it feels like it's wanting to be considered redneck sharp, but it's just not quite there. But it's an axe. Okay, we're here at the chopping test station, which is basically a big old log, and it's got a little bit of movement to it. We're going to just go ahead and chop on this and see what kind of results we can get. I'll try to zoom in on some of this in a minute in editing, but let's just get her done. So that's the first whack. It bit really, really well, really well. And the sucker bites. Man, it bites. Yes, it does. Okay. Yeah, it bites in. I got to do a little better job of aiming. Okay, so I got to say, I think that is pretty decent. Very axey. Okay, so one of the tasks you might use an axe for around camp is splitting up some firewood. I've got a pretty big chunk here, kind of similar to like you might find just laying around the woods in the wild. but this is a pretty extreme large piece of wood to be splitting with a 27-inch axe, but let's see what we can do with her. Again, I admit right off the bat, this is extreme. You can see this is kind of actually sort of getting punky in the middle, but still not too shabby. Okay, so since that was a little punky, we're gonna try something a little more solid. This is a piece of, I believe this is birch. Let's see what we can do with this regular piece of firewood. And to be honest, it looks to me like the birch is getting a little punky inside too. But okay, so the next step in the standardized testing process is to start working on some firecraft stuff. I think it's important to be able to make a fire, as you know. And one of the, if I have a bladed implement, I think that's going to be. We'll see how well that tool aids in that process. So we're going to go ahead and split out another little. Try to get a dry corner here somewhere, and see if we can carve some curls with this thing. And that's pretty dry. It's been raining here for like the last 3 days, so we'll see how well that goes. And again, this is not a super sharp edge, but it seems to be doing better than I expected, to be honest with you. Okay, well, maybe that'll be enough for proof of concept. Let's grab my second favorite ferro rod. Okay, as I said, this is my second favorite ferro rod, the Exotac Fire Rod XL. My first favorite comes with a little canister of butane gas. So I always like to show that, because I have so many people, every time I do any kind of a fire starting video, a lot of people say, well, just carry a Bic. I do, but Bics have limitations. So we're going to see if somewhere on this thing we'll be able to strike a ferro rod. And I think the most logical place is going to be like right here. That's the closest place I can think of, I can find that might be sharp. Maybe here. Let's just see. Not really. That is not going to do it. I'm sure the edge will do it, but I really don't want to mess up the edge, but let's just see. Okay, well, we know the edge will do it, so let's just see what we can do here. Try to figure out how to do this without being dangerous. Okay, to be fair, this stuff it's been raining out here again for like 3 days, so. Well, you know what? This seems like a really good excuse to grab the old fat wood. Any excuse is good enough. So this is the piece of fat wood that literally has been laying out here on the ground in storage in the outdoor studio since 2013, maybe 2014. I'll have to go back and look at that video, but at least 10 years, and this is a piece I flaked off of it. Let's see if we can make some magic happen. So we'll try to, and this is soaking wet right now. We're gonna go ahead and carve off some of the outer wet part. some curls in there. So there's that. Now, take this thing and stab it like this, and we're gonna just use it to scrape some fat wood. Wet though it is. Now, I really don't think this is messing up the edge because it's not a scalpel edge to begin with. Let's see what we can do here. Even the fat wood's a little damp, but we're going to endeavor to persevere here. Oh, I think we got her. Don't let her go out. Yeah, fat wood's a little damp, but we are not going to give up, because if you need a fire, you just by golly need a fire. Man, everything is just so wet. But let me get some more fat wood. Here, we're going to try again with some fresh fat wood. Let's see if we can maybe just split these out a little smaller, give them a little something to, a little more surface area, a little less mass to, should burn a little quicker. As I've said it before, I'm guilty of not paying attention to my own advice, but prep is so important when you're trying to build a fire. So now let's see what we can do. Alrighty, well, like they say, if at first you don't succeed, you're not Chuck Norris.
Chuck Norris can make an onion cry.
So, we're going to call that a slow but eventual success. So that's the fire portion of the testing. Whatever should we test now? Okay, well, that was some of the practical testing phases of our standardized testing process here for this cold steel Trail Boss axe. As you know, here at Survival on Purpose Worldwide headquarters, we maintain a state-of-the-art cutting-edge testing facility. And in addition to the previous test, one test we always like to do with every fixed blade and every handled implement is to test the balance using our balance, orientation, and rotation device. So I think, of course, we have to do that now, right? Let's get her done. And as always, proper scientific methodology is critical. Whoop, 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 whoop. Oh, I believe we're going to have to back you up a little bit. Okay, let's see if we have a little better calibration now. Whoop, 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 whoop. Okay, so maybe we've got it calibrated properly now. You can see what the first strike where it hit dead on the handle did, half rotation. It extended, drove this thing up into the eye about 1/4 of an inch. So hopefully we got the distance a little better now. This may be the one of the biggest, longest axes I've ever done the balance test on. Let's try again. Should we go for a third time? I've seen guys on axe throwing competitions do it this way. Let me try this. Not only did I not like that particular style, although it does seem to give you a little more control. You couldn't tell it by my throw, but kind of put a little hitch in my back there. One more. We're calling it balanced. Okay, so that one was the best one actually. It sunk very deeply, as you can see, and I just pretty much did a complete loop around to try to get some momentum behind it, and it did really well. So just to recap, as far as chopping goes, this thing did an excellent job, in my opinion, of chopping. It's got a decent blade shape. I mean, it's traditional European style axe head design. It did surprisingly well with the sharpening, with the carving, because it completely, failed the redneck sharp test, but it did okay carving some wood. And nowhere on here to strike a ferro rod that I could see other than the actual blade. So certainly a little work with a file would take care of that. And then when we got to the, probably one of the most important tests of any bladed implement, the balance test, it actually did pretty decent once I got it calibrated. And I guess the handle's now a 1/4 inch shorter, but it's probably locked in there a little tighter too. So anyway, that's a Cold Steel Trail Boss, around 50 bucks. So 40 bucks on Amazon, and a nice 27-inch axe. Put a link in the video description below if you want to check it out. So anyway, I hope this video has been somewhat informative and mildly entertaining. I really sincerely appreciate you watching Survival on Purpose. I appreciate it if you click that subscribe button, that little notification bell, and like the video and comment, and all those things help the algorithm to know that this is the kind of video you want to see, and it kind of helps the channel. So I really, really appreciate it. Remember, survival is not an accident, so be prepared. I'll see you next time.